On this enchanting, now-playing episode of View the Right Thing, Wes and Desi re-enter the wizarding world of author J.K. Rowling as they watch as a young Albus Dumbledore team up with Newt Scamander to confront the dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald before he can fulfill his plan to create an army of wizards to rule over those without magic abilities. Get your wands and sort yourselves for this now-playing installment review of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindewald, here on View the Right Thing.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of View the Right Thing's now playing. There's still some question about, are we calling it that? Is it a short episode? Is it a normal length episode? Who knows?
I think it depends on the movie. I mean, how much do we have to talk about?
Desi's with me, and we are going to talk about Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindewald. As always, we're going to say whether we like the film and whether we recommend the price of the ticket, especially for people who have families. This is something to consider for a film like this. And then we'll get into spoilers. And we will talk spoilers. If you are a Harry Potter fan and have not seen the film, you probably want to see the film because we will ruin something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Desiree, how did you feel about this film?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a Harry Potter fan, if you like that universe, definitely go see it. I think it has, the elements that you liked from the first Fantastic Beasts, like Niffler.
Niffler.
And
Pickett.
And Pickett, yeah. And
I don't know.
I don't know. It may not have been.
Looking at me like,
It may not have been quite as good as the first one, but I liked it. It was good. I enjoyed it.
I liked the movie. I had a pretty good time watching it. I thought it seemed too long. I thought there were scenes that didn't necessarily. They could have delivered information in a better way. It felt like, this is the moment where we need to have some sort of big special effect thing. We need to show some big creature and have a chase scene or something.
Right.
And it felt like they were doing that for the sake of doing it rather than actually us needing to move the story along. Because at this stage of the story, I think this is going to be another one of those 5 to 7 movie storylines.
Yeah.
I think the whole series is supposed to take place over 19 years. So, it's going to be a few more movies. So I don't necessarily feel like anybody's in danger at this point.
Right.
I'm not afraid for anybody's life. So these chase scenes don't really serve a lot of a purpose, except for, this might look cool in 3D. So we did see it in 3D, actually.
Yeah, we did.
And I thought the 3D was pretty good.
Yeah, I did too.
How do you feel? So I agree that if you're a Harry Potter fan, you have to see it. I don't know if you have to see it at the most expensive ticket price or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I liked seeing it in 3D. I don't know that it's necessary to see it.
Would you recommend a $20 ticket to somebody?
I think if you're a really big fan.
If you're a diehard fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you just want to take your kids, maybe not.
If they don't care that much about 3D or you don't care that much about 3D, don't spend the money on it. It was neat for it, but it didn't feel like it was necessary.
Yeah.
There are some movies where I'm like, it's necessary to see this in 3D, but
yeah,
this was not one of them. If you like the series, but you're not a massive fan, if you've read all the books, it's one thing, but if you're not a major Harry Potter fan,
if you don't know what house you are,
yeah, you you probably could do a matinee and be very happy. I actually felt, even though I had a good time and I enjoyed the film, that's partially because I'm such a big Harry Potter fan. I've read the book so many times. Mm-hmm. I actually thought the movie was kind of middle of the road. Like I said, I thought it was a little over long. A lot of shoe leather, as they say. Pacing issues mostly.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit more.
All right. Well, before we get spoiler heavy, I just want to talk about the Fantasy Movie League ad.
Okay, so AMC is running a fantasy movie. So what they do is every couple weeks they put out a new Fantasy Movie League ad before the feature present in the pre-show stuff.
Yeah. before the previews of other movies.
And they always have, like, you know, screenshots or posters of current movies that are out, and then they always kind of cater the dialogue that the announcer is saying to be relevant to some movie. And so currently they're saying...
Well, so they're kind of catering it towards, I think, this movie.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't be a Hufflepuff. Like,
download the app.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Desi dropping the F-bombs.
Yeah, sorry, but come on, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a Hufflepuff.
There's nothing wrong.
Hufflepuffs are awesome. So I'm calling you out, Fantasy Movie League.
You want to guess what house Desi's in? Anyone?
Hufflepuff for life.
Yeah, we tweeted at Fantasy Movie League. And it's funny, too, that they sort of, like... obviously they didn't mean anything mean or anything about it, but it's funny because, you know, Fantasy Movie League is supposed to be like, hey, do you know movies? You think you know what's popular and what's hip? And for people that are supposed to be movie knowledgeable, Newt Scamander, the hero of the Fantastic Beasts,
is a Hufflepuff.
He's a Hufflepuff. He wears the gold and black scarf.
Yeah.
So, you know, bad form, Fantasy Movie League.
And I even heard somebody else in the theater go, ah!
Yeah.
like I wasn't the only one offended.
It was a different time.
It was a different time that we saw it, but yeah.
Yeah, so, what were you thinking? All right.
Come on, marketing team, what were you thinking?
Yeah. So, let's start getting a little spoilery. Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindewald picks up a year or two after the first film, I think. His books come out, and Grindelwald's hair's grown out, and he's going to be transferred back to Europe to answer for his crimes when a daring escape happens.
Yes.
And chaos ensues. Okay, so we're definitely getting into spoilers now.
Yes.
Here's my main problem with this film.
Go.
I'm just going to start right off the top of the bat.
Throw it out there.
This movie is called Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindewald. Did we see Fantastic Beasts? Yes.
Yes.
Was this movie full of Crimes of Grindewald? Absolutely not. You
No.
hardly see Grindelwald do anything in this film, and it's about the Crimes of Grindewald. You don't even hear very much about his past crimes.
No, yeah.
It's
like he's already in jail. Like, he escapes from jail, obviously. So I guess that's a crime.
He does commit some crimes. He does commit some crimes in this, but not very many.
Yeah, it's not, the movie's not about that.
The movie is almost 2.5 hours long, and the movie is not about him committing crimes. It's not about the crimes he's committed. It's about, so this is the other problem I have with it. It's almost Lord of the Rings like, and I could only imagine if you weren't, well, I mean, let me clarify that here. How I feel about Lord of the Rings. I've never read the books, and every time I've tried to watch any Lord of the Rings, I've seen all of them, seen all the Hobbit movies, but every time I watch them, I don't enjoy them very much, and I think this is being made for somebody who understands this history really well, who's read the books, and there's a lot of information that they just sort of like throw out there, and you're like, as somebody who's not a fan, you're just kind of like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
If you were not a fan of the Harry Potter universe and you saw this film, this movie would be utter nonsense because they don't really ever explain anything, and they say names and events from history that you are sort of supposed to know. And even as a Harry Potter fan, I didn't know a bunch of the stuff that they were
Yeah, there
talking
definitely were a few, like, they definitely, like, I was real confused about, who they think Credence is. Like,
all the Lestrange stuff doesn't make any sense because they've never established it.
Right, yeah, they don't really explain it to you until almost the end of the movie. And then it's like a real quick explanation that you're like, wait, okay, I think I got that. Like,
so you get this aha moment at the end of the film, but then the problem with that is it was 2 hours and 15 minutes to get there, and there's a really big scene where they, again, spoiler, they break into the French Ministry of Magic and to get a box.
Yes.
Wait, you making a face?
The fucking French Ministry of Magic almost made me wet my pants. It's amazing. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. let me just talk about the plot part of it, and then we can talk about the set design.
I'm sorry.
So, they break in to open up essentially a safe deposit box, or like a case box.
Right. Yes.
In police movies and stuff, they have to go to the records room, and there's some sort of like cardboard box that they got to find with somebody's case number on it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they're looking for, because it's got the information about a historic wizarding family. Everything that happens in that doesn't mean anything. They could deliver what little bit of information you get in that. They could have delivered in a much easier way, and it felt like an excuse to do an action sequence with a beast that also could have been utilized somewhere else in a way that actually advanced the story. That's the problem with this film, is like it's just full of all this stuff that it does lead somewhere, but it could have been truncated down so it actually felt earned. And it didn't distract you constantly.
I agree. However, I will take as much scenes in the French Ministry of Magic as I can get.
I don't know. Like, as cool as it was, like I don't need to see all the bureaucracy stuff. That's the kind of stuff that people don't want in these films. They want to understand people's motivations. Again, like Grindewald, you don't really understand his motivations other than what people say on face value. And it's not until the last half hour of the film. That's the greatest part of the film, was the last half hour.
Yeah,
it's the stuff with Grindewald and his group, and people being pinned down. Dumbledore says early in the film, like, if he holds a rally, don't go to the rally. So you end up at a rally at the end of the film, and it's like,
no!
This is what you wanted. Like, this is the film you came to go see. But it takes almost 2 hours to get to that point. And there's like a lot of idiot plot stuff. Like, the girl is mad at what's her name? Tina is mad at Newt because she thinks he's engaged over a misunderstanding, but nobody ever actually talks about it until late in the film. It's kind of idiot plot stuff that doesn't advance anything.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of falls in that does advance is Queenie and Jacob's relationship.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's charmed him at the beginning of the film. She's willing to do anything to feel comfortable being with him. Yeah. And that's important. But then she disappears for almost the remainder of the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that happens at the beginning of the film. She meets Grindewald, and then she's gone. Like, you don't see her again until that last half hour.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, just move this story along and give us the relevant stuff, because I know you've got a lot of things to share, and you're probably cutting a bunch of things out. And, if we've got 5 more movies to watch, don't make this one boring.
You're right.
and this one, I think critically is probably the least well received as well.
Yeah.
It felt very chaotic to me for the sake of chaos. There were, I liked conceptually the idea of the breakout scene at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Everything is so dark and moves so quickly, and the shots are so chaotic that, like, you never really can see anything that's happening. Like, oh, this guy got shot off his broom, or, oh, this guy fell off the carriage. But you don't see how any of it happens,
also,
really.
I was really confused how it got filled with water at one point.
So the carriage dipped down to the river on its side, and Grindewald, I think he tapped the glass, and the water came through the glass. And then, so he filled it up with the water, and then he rose it back up in the sky.
Okay, so see, I think things were happening so quickly, I missed that.
It was very difficult to...
I was like, wait, why is there so much fucking water in the carriage all of a sudden?
Yeah. It was very difficult to...
not just why is there water in there, why is it filled with water, but they're not underwater? Like... Yeah.
No, he tipped it on its side, filled it up, and then rose back. I did like seeing the Thestrals again. Yeah. That was neat. The creatures were all cool, except for the Ministry Cats. The Ministry Cats were stupid.
Yeah, they didn't... They looked like
bad
digital,
CG.
bad CG digital.
Even the little cat versions of them look like bad CG.
Yeah, they weren't the best done of all the
Yeah.
beasts in the film, unfortunately.
But the Chinese beast was cool. I thought the Japanese kappa was really cool.
Don't cover your mouth.
This
keeps covering his mouth with sand.
I lost track of what I was.
Sorry, you're talking about the beasts.
The beasts. Yeah.
Niffler,
the baby Nifflers.
Baby Nifflers are adorable.
Yeah. I don't know how I felt about the Kelpie. I guess it was okay.
Yeah, it was fine. I liked that his assistant had a crush on him.
Yeah, but like,
but it's not relevant to anything.
Yeah, what's the point? What was the point of the Kelpie thing?
Yeah, it wasn't needed.
I hope it comes back in another movie, but then at that point, it's like save it for that film.
Yeah,
you know, like, yeah. We already know that he's good with animals. We know that he takes care of these big, crazy creatures. It seems like they did these things because they felt they needed to have big CG moments in the film that just didn't really matter. It looks cool. Performances are great. Music is great. James Newton Howard is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It just the story just
great.
Yeah, sets are great. It just meanders, which is why like there's so many great things to counter kind of a boring ho hum story.
Yeah,
one that we've kind of knew what was going to happen. Like it's not like there aren't any great revelations in the film. I don't think. There's one sad moment.
No, there's one at the very end of the film. I didn't,
sure. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that.
I won't even spoil that. But
I'll give you that. That was. I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
But.
And it makes me like super fucking sad and like want to know how that happened.
Which is great for a cliffhanger, but like the movie should have been full of more moments like that that like grabbed us and made us care about the characters and feel excited or sad. Again, like the one thing that sort of made the most sense that they built early on was the Jacob Queenie relationship.
Yeah, and I was like pretty devastated.
Spoiler alert.
Major spoiler alert.
Major spoiler alert.
I was super devastated that Queenie ends up going with Grindelwald.
Yeah, at the same time, having seen all the other Harry Potter films, you knew it was coming.
Yeah, but it still broke my heart a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's totally sad. I gotta think they're gonna get her back.
I hope so.
I kind of hope they don't, but I'm a sucker for tragedy.
Yeah, you are.
I feel bad for Jacob in that case, but
yeah.
I kind of was hoping that we would learn that Jacob actually had a little wizard in him. That maybe
like he was pregnant with a tiny
he was pregnant
baby
with
wizard.
So there's and it's possible that he still could be a revelation. You would think that the wizards would know this, but maybe they can't sense it. Maybe there's just a little bit there.
Like a long, like
a little Hagridy, like Hagrid is like half wizard, half
giant.
Like he's like a giant and a wizard, or maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe the giant was the wizard, was the witch. I can't remember, but he's got just enough in there that he can kind of do stuff.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a little bit of something they just kind of glossed over. So at the end of the first film, spoiler for the first film, they obliviate Jacob, or they obliviate all of New York City with magic rain. And in this film, we find out that it only takes away the bad stuff, and he had so many happy things about the events that Queenie filled in all the bad stuff.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting because I feel like that's a thing that
they've never said.
Yeah, that like
again, there's a lot
to this movie.
There's a lot of things in this movie where they just say this stuff that they just expect you to just take at face value and go, okay, I guess that's a thing.
Yeah, like okay. That's never been explained or been used as a
like the Lestrange thing. They treated the Lestrange thing as if it was something we should know, which is like the same feeling I have watching a Lord of the Rings movie. It's like but so what I was gonna say was that doesn't totally make sense to me.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
What would make sense to me is that somebody who maybe has a little bit of wizard in them wouldn't have been obliviated. completely. Maybe would have been partially obliviated.
Right.
So I kind of wonder if he's force sensitive, so to speak.
Force sensitive.
And we're going to find out that Jacob's a little bit of a... Because I think it's neat to have a Muggle mixed in with them.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's either going to have to be sacrificed or he's completely useless at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's only so much this guy can do. Unless he starts to learn.
Right.
Man, it was... I like Jude Law. I like Jude Law a lot in it as Dumbledore.
Too. Absolutely.
I liked that they, sort of said he was gay without saying he was gay in the film.
Yeah.
They implied the bond between those two when they interlocked their fingers was something beyond.
Yes.
And he says that. He says that we're beyond
friends.
Beyond brothers, I think is what they said, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that. But the problem for me with that is that sometimes I feel like they should just say it outright. Like it's almost like they're kind of hiding it, like they're...
Well, we have to remember that also that it's, even though the wizarding world is quote unquote more advanced, it's still 1930.
I guess.
But
I just meant just generally in the Harry Potter universe. They never really...
Well, because it was never important. Like Dumbledore's a headmaster. His sexuality has no importance. So it's not important. Like you never see Dumbledore with a significant other. You know what I mean? Like his
I get what you're saying.
His private life just isn't important to those stories, which is why I think J.K. Rowling outside of that did say, because she's saying, I think it's important for people to know this, but it's not important to what's happening in the stories.
Right.
I think here it is,
kind of is important.
and I like that they are starting to flirt with that. Yeah. Even it's 1930, so I mean, I don't expect them to be we're here, we're queer, get used to it. They're not going to do that.
Fair enough.
But I like Jude Law. I like that casting. I know there's people are unhappy with the Johnny Depp situation.
Yeah. I feel like it's you could recast him, but he was already in the first one, and maybe it's easier to just have that continuity. But I get it.
First, I believe Amber Heard. I'll say that. There's a lot of people involved in making a movie. He's just one small part of it. I will say his performance is excellent.
Yeah.
He doesn't really get to shine until the end of the film. And what I loved about how he was doing Grindelwald was he was doing it very understated. This was not the Johnny Depp of Captain Jack Sparrow and the Mad Hatter and Willy Wonka. It was not over the top. It was very normal and believable and very charismatic. And, I think that's, they're supposed to be these sort of Hitler-y, Mussolini, charisma leader things going on. And I thought he did that really well. It reminded me of some politicians of our current day as well.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Zoe Kravitz is in the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Surprised by that. She's pretty big role. 'Cause being that she had no role other than a photograph in the first film.
Yeah.
That was kind of neat to see her. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that just jumped out. There was one moment that I really liked. Oh, Nicholas Flamel is in the film, which I really liked.
Yeah.
That was one of those things where it was definitely a wink to the Harry Potter fans, but it was a situation where you didn't need to know his backstory.
Right.
They gave you enough of that, and they sort of explained who he was. And I suspect that in the future we're going to get more of him and we're going to learn more. They gave just enough of him. But I loved that when he opened up his wall safe, that the Philosopher's Stone was in the safe. It's that another kind of winky thing, continuity wise, I liked a lot.
Yeah, it's it's not really necessary to the story, but if you if you know that universe, then
Yeah.
you'll know it.
Well, the Mirror of Erised was in the film, and you got to see a Defense Against Dark Arts class, which I think was pretty cool. We didn't actually get to Newt getting expelled in...
No, we got a little bit of their school years briefly.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting if they... Or I guess maybe he didn't get expelled, I guess is the story. I don't really know. Again, it's one of those background things that I forget. So, viewers, feel free to let us know. Or maybe they'll explain it later on in the movies. I think there's more to Alita Lestrange, I think, than they gave us just enough. Lita, not Alita. That's a different movie.
Yeah.
Keep seeing that trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I just kind of badmouthed a bunch of stuff in the film, but I did like it. I thought the performances were fine. I thought the kid who played young Newt got Eddie Redmayne's mannerisms down to a T.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like maybe they CGI'd a young Eddie Redmayne because it was so. It wasn't.
I mean, I don't think they did, but
I don't think they did.
I'm saying
it was done in a way that was so like his that it's almost hard to distinguish the mannerisms.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the set design?
Yeah.
Because that's your thing.
Excuse me. So, the biggest one, the main one that stands out to me. I mean, all the sets in all these movies are always amazing, but in this one we get to see the French Ministry of Magic.
Uh-huh.
We've seen previously, obviously, the English and the American.
Although we got some new stuff in the British Ministry of Magic.
Yeah,
it was really cool. That first shot of the bird flying in.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree. It had a bigger scale than we've seen before. Yeah. But the French Ministry of Magic was incredible. Like, they did such a good job of using French Art Nouveau style, but making it more grand and more magical and different.
How so?
Huh?
Well, you say it's more magical. Do you mean things moving around on their own, or do you mean...
No, I mean, it's not the way that stuff would have been used in that time period, let's say, in Harry Potter terms, by Muggles.
Right.
It's not like a historical representation of a building in that time.
Sure, okay.
It's a play on that makes it fit with this universe, this magical universe. They just did some really incredible, huge things in that. And I wonder how much of it was CG and how much of it was built sets, because some of those sets are massive. They're in a huge domed lobby area or whatever.
Well, almost the whole thing was shot at Shepperton Studios. If that gives you an idea, it's probably largely CG.
Largely CG, I'm sure. But they did just a fantastic job of the details.
They did shoot at the real the real Hogwarts castle thing. I can't remember what the actual place is called, but they did shoot the exteriors and some of the interiors back at that place.
In the same location. Yeah, the colors of the French Ministry of Magic are great too. They use that green that copper turns after it's oxidized, but they pull that into everything else.
The Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, exactly. But everything is that color.
Yeah.
They just took that color palette and ran with it.
And that was a theme. That was definitely a theme for France in general.
Yeah,
I noticed the statue that pulls that's sort of the doorway to getting into the wizarding,
the magical area.
Yeah, area of Paris was also that copper that you're talking about, that green copper.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good observation. I like the shroud that encompasses the city as a call to all of Grindelwald's followers.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I I wish I understood the beast thing at the fire beast at the end better. I thought it was cool.
Fire beast.
So, like, there's this big ring of fire that kills a bunch of wizards. And then
right.
they're like, we got to contain it or else it'll destroy all of Paris. It's like...
where
did that come
grows
from?
out into a
But like, where
beast.
did this, like, it's gonna, like, again...
Like, we don't...
we don't understand
we're not privy to what that is.
Yeah, so it's like, we just have to take everything they say at face value. I don't know if it was J.K. Rowling, however you say it. I don't know if it was her as the writer that's at fault for some of these things. I suspect it is. You know, sometimes, you know, writing books and I mean, it's not like she's new to writing screenplays, but this felt like more like a book than it did a movie to me. You know, all of these things would have been fine to read because you spend a lot of time reading. You sort of know what you're in for, but a movie should be faster paced and it should move and it should contain pertinent information, and you know, you should be able to understand everything and not just have to just take everyone's word for it.
Right.
So it was fun.
Yeah, of course it was fun.
It was a fine movie. It just pretty average for me.
Yeah.
But I think there are other movies in the theater right now that I would want people to go see more important films. I think there are more important films out there to go see. I think there are better films out there to go see.
Okay. And
if you're curious about what those are, listen to some of our other episodes because we did episodes on it. We're trying to do more of these now playing things. There's going to be, you know, hopefully two episodes of You the Right Thing every week at least. Mm-hmm. At least one of those will be a new, you know, in the theater film. Some weeks it'll be 2. Some weeks maybe even 3. We're getting into that season.
Awards season when we're like trying to cram as many movies in as we can.
Yeah. Well, we'll have access to screeners soon, and we won't have to see everything in the theater. But all right, well, our next podcast is Widows, so stay tuned for that. And
do you want to tell them the Instagram?
Oh yeah, sure. Why not?
As usual.
I don't always. I forget sometimes. But thanks for reminding me. Mm-hmm. You can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at VTRT Movies. And, you know, wouldn't mind if you followed, interact with us a little bit, tell us what you want us to watch. If there's a theatrical film that's coming out that you want our take on, let us know because we'll go see it. We'll do a short episode on that. I think we're hoping to do Green Book and hoping maybe we're thinking about Robin Hood. Yeah, maybe that might be one. We think that people might be on the fence on that, so it might be good for us to go see it.
Yeah.
But let us know what you guys think because we want to hear from you. Okay. Do you want to tell them your Instagram or anything?
Mine is at Blueprint Betty. It's mostly design related. I do put some set design stuff on there occasionally.
Maybe you can put some Fantastic Beasts stuff on there. All right. Well, then, until next time, bon cinema.